I believe that nowadays grannies are quite familiar with some kind of IT slang. Oh, sounds too radical. I'm not a big fan of radicalism.
I am an artist and this is how I see it.
In general, there are no rules, no limits to what you can create and where you can create something. Following trends or not, it's my own decision.
Do all designers steal from each other?
Absolutely. This is what a designer's job is all about. Purple is a great color for company from IT industry. The big unibrow is a special trick that can generate interest in people's mind. It can be hard to show tolerance when someone thinks differently from you.
Hello everyone, my name is Vitaly and today in studio with me is Andrey, head of Solbeg Design Team. And today we're going to talk about design, about its trends, about Solbeg identity and of course personal experiences, the pain and joy of modern designing. Hello, Andrey.
Hello, nice to be here.
How long have you been working for Solbeg and in general in design?
15 years in total in design and 8 of them in Solbeg.
How do you feel in the interview's chair? It's your first interview?
Yeah, it's my first interview and I'm a bit stressed, but let's see.
Have you studied the building plan to know how to quickly run out of the studio if questions became uncomfortable?
I hope you won't face me that choice, so hope it won't be necessary.
Okay, if we are ready, we can start. I will ask you questions in different categories, and the first category for warming up is Blitz. Your task is to answer the question without much thought, quickly and straight. Okay, first question. Your favorite font?
Oh, only one? It's too complicated.
Or fonts?
Okay, let it be Helvetica. For example, it's our corporate font right now.
Which is more important, a beautiful site or a user-friendly site?
I believe that everything is important because convenience is related to habits and the beauty is related to taste. So my conclusion, aesthetics and convenience are equally important at different stages of interaction with the website. So the things should not be considered separately from each other.
Is a web designer an artist or a craftsman?
I think both, because designer is a specialist who combines creative and technical ways of solving problems.
What pisses you off and what do you like most about your profession?
Oh, there are a lot of things that piss me off. For example, making edits just for the reason of making edits, like playing around with fonts, colors, etc. Expert evaluation from non-designers, for example, when the client gives design for evaluation to their moms, grandmothers, or something like that. But all of this is nothing when you see the result of your work. So this is the great satisfaction for me when you design an interface that people will use, or even just a greeting card for a client.
The next question is 3 words that designer most want to hear from a client.
Only three. Okay, maybe I trust you or I believe you, something like that, because when I understand that the client expects the results from me, but doesn't interfere.
Great. Andrey, if not designer, then what profession?
I don't really know, but probably it was something about... anyway, it should be something creative in any case. For example, I like photography, maybe be a photographer. It also would be great to have some kind of a cozy business like a coffee shop or bakery store, something like that.
Okay, Blitz is over, and the next category is 5 silly questions for a designer. Questions that designers don't like, but most people would like to know the answers. And first question in this category: how do you explain to your grandmother what you do for a living?
Some kind of old school question, because I believe that nowadays grannies are quite familiar with some kind of IT slang. But as for me, all my relatives are quite far away from IT sphere, so I just say that I work as an IT specialist, and usually they don't ask for the details. But sometimes they ask me to reinstall operation system on their computers or to fix something. In that case, I should say that, sorry, I don't do any kind of computer stuff. I'm not a system administrator or something like that. But they say, oh, you're an IT specialist. Why you don't do this? Why?
Okay, next question. How does a web designer differ from a common designer?
Common designer. Here we need to clarify who is the common designer. A graphic designer, UI UX designer, motion designer, game designer, product designer, or fashion or interior designer. So a web designer pays much more attention to the interaction between users and the design. So specifically, they create the interfaces that are easy to use. For example, they work on navigation, menus, and other website stuff. Others designers, they work in a different sphere of design. For example, graphic designers work on graphics, like postcards, icons, etc. Who else? Motion designer works on animation. Game designer works in the field of games. He designed the mechanism of interaction with the player, like this.
Are designers willing to do anything in search of inspiration?
Oh, sounds too radical. I'm not a big fan of radicalism. People are different, so designers are also people, so they are also different. So that's why they get inspired by their own way. For example, for some it's enough to change their activities in a bit. For others, be in nature, organize their thoughts, and like this. As for me, I get inspired by the most ordinary things that surround me every day. And something is always spinning around in my head, and it just already a matter of time to set in priorities, relax, and clarify all my minds and find the inspiration.
Is it true that designers are creative personalities, little bit crazy, and for them there are no rules? There is only one rule: I am an artist, and this is how I see it.
Designers are both creative personalities and a little bit crazy. We all are different. But in reality, anyway, there are rules that we should follow. And we can't just say, like, we are designers and this is how I see it. Anyway, if we're painting a picture, then yes. But in case of the interfaces, there are certain rules that we should follow, the user behavior patterns. It doesn't work like that. So we just add in a bit of creativity and we get a beautiful design that also works.
Andrey, sometimes people said about designers' work, I could draw that in Paint. Can a website design be created in Paint?
Of course, no problems. In general, there are no rules, no limits to what you can create and where you can create something. If you want to draw in Paint, so let's do it, go ahead. Unfortunately, a design created in Paint cannot be transferred to programmers for development. So a website or app created in Paint will remain just like that, design created in Paint, and there is nothing you can do about it except to print it out, and that's it.
Andrey, if you're not trendy yourself, can you still create cool designs?
Oh, interesting question. I think probably not. You can't. But it's just my opinion. After all, being a designer and it means that to have some kind of an inner sense of style. But it's not about fashion, not about trends. It's about style in general. So following trends or not, it's my own decision. But being able to stylishly combine different wardrobe items, for example, not sticking to trends, but being relevant is excellent training for a designer in our field. So there are trends relevant for 1 or 2 years, but there are approaches that are always relevant and it will always work. And for me, a good designer is a designer who can create designs beyond the fashion trends and even beyond the time.
Next question is, what is designer's professional deformation?
Sometimes when I'm opening a website or app on my phone, I immediately see some weakest points, and I want to, and I mentally start to correcting it in my head. Yeah. But even simple sign on a street, like a street board, can make me geek out, and I also start mentally fix something in design, something like that. But I also remember a story when me and my friends came to a cafe, and the waiter gave us a menu card, and we hang for, I don't know, for probably 30 minutes because we started to dive deeply into details, to start looking the menu font, the typography layout of the menu. It was quite interesting.
Andrey, do all designers steal from each other?
Nowadays, I often see that designs are becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish from each other. It's okay to draw inspiration from other people's work, but the key is not to cross the thin line between plagiarism and inspiration. If you take an idea from someone else's work, rethink it, modify it, add in your own twists, so it's okay, it's not stealing. Stealing for me, when you pass off someone else's work as your own.
Is it true that website design is enslave us and make us buy something if even we didn't plan to?
Absolutely. This is what a designer's job is all about. So, however, our goal a bit more noble. Yes, through a design you can influence users' decision, but the main objective is to guide user through the right path, the most effective and quickest way to complete some task. I don't know. We can give, for example, for that reasons, we can give an element slightly greater visual weight or add an animation to catch users' attention.
Thank you, Andrey. We're done with silly questions, and next category is question from Solbeg employees. And first, why is our corporate color purple?
Well, actually, we have two corporate colors, red and purple, and also we have a palette of additional colors, which is less formal. Okay, about purple. Initially, when I joined a company, our main color was just red. But over time, it became clear that one color is not enough. So that's how purple came about. Purple contains red, so it complements each other harmoniously. Plus, we did some research and found out that purple is a great color for company from IT industry. So as a dynamic shade, it combines the reliability and constancy of blue color with energetic and exciting red.
It's clear with colors. And question about our mascot. Why is our mascot is pretty owl with a unibrow?
As for the owl, there is no secret story, because the owl is a very positive character that our client, the CEO of Solbeg, likes. We simply created a memorable image for it. A big unibrow is a special trick that can generate interest in people's mind, and also it's very convenient because depending on the angle of its placement on the owl face, it can generate absolutely different emotions, and it's also very convenient. Yeah. And also, name of our character is Soli. It's similar to company's name, Solbeg, Soli, something like that.
And next question about exactly company's name and our logo. What means symbol underscore in the end of logo?
Underscore in our logo symbolizes the process and hints at the development of the brand, because there is a feeling that after a noticeable underline, there can be continued.
Okay, we move into next category. Its name, Let's Talk Seriously. And first serious question for today: how has the approach to design changed in last couple of years?
I think everything around us has accelerated, including design too. In just a few years, a lot of new things have emerged. Algorithmic design, automotive and voice interfaces are gaining interest. Those demand for virtual and augmented reality is growing every year. Design systems are becoming more popular. What else? Unifying the design of a product also to improve its quality and accelerate its time to market is crucial. Universality is also essential, meaning that ability to use a design on the different platforms, in different screen resolutions, in the different devices, and so on. Artificial intelligence is also making strides. Yes, it's already wins digital art competitions, but it's still too weak to replace the team of experienced specialists.
What are the main design trends in 2023?
If we're talking about design in general, not diving deep into concrete sphere, I can say that many macro trends from previous year have migrated to 2023. One of them, motion, 3D, experimental typography, neo-brutalism, minimalism, and also stylists of 19s. In response to globalization, designers are returning to their roots and enhancing their individuality. I also heard about artificial intelligence. I also heard that some trendy brand collaborated with artificial intelligence and placed images generated by AI on its t-shirts. So it's a fashion right now. And also nature and environmental friendliness have been in trend for the last several years. So it's also everything related to it, also relevant right now. Mix of styles also looks good and up to date.
Okay, and finally, what you want to wish to all designers today in Designers Day?
Probably I wish patience patience and tolerance, because it can be hard to show tolerance when someone thinks differently from you. But if a designer lacks of sensitivity, empathy, patience, tolerance, they can easily lose the client and even his user.
So it was our final question. Andrey, thank you for such detailed answers.
Thank you for invitation, and you subscribe our Behance account.
Guys, thank you for watching, subscribe our channel and have a good day, good luck, bye bye.